if your kids are watching you, which they are, y'all,
Yeah.
and they see you doing certain things or behaving a certain way, and then you're coming to them and going, "Oh no, you don't want to be that way. You don't want to.
Yeah.
You're the example."
Like, welcome to the Between the Pages podcast. Today, we are preparing for winter. Basically, frost is coming, and we're bringing in a lot of our harvest from years prior, and even the season from spring to now. It's all coming in right now.
Yep.
First frost should be here in a little bit, and that'll bring in the last of our harvest. And so we just wanted to take a little minute today and talk about choices and choices you make, and leads into the future.
Yeah. So we thought about this as something to do because over the next several months and period of time with your children and whatnot, you're going to make certain choices about what kind of foods they eat, what kind of schools they go to, clothes that they wear, all that kind of stuff, and most importantly, seasonal activities that they participate in. So we thought, well, okay, might be a good idea to talk about that a little bit. And people, you can choose to make your own choices and decisions based on what we're talking about. Like Sarah said, we planted trees, we planted seeds, we were bringing in the harvest. Most of the harvest is in. We've made hay. We brought in all the apples are done, the pears, peaches are done. There's a few crops that need a frost.
Yeah.
In order to bring
You said
them
the hard pears.
Hard pears need a frost, and if you do the autumn olive jelly and jams and that kind of thing, you need a frost in order to do that. So there's a few things that require a frost, but basically after
mostly it's a lot of stuff is once frost is there, anything that was out there is gone.
It's over. Yeah.
It's over.
And so here today, I think it's today or tomorrow is the equal day, where it's equal sunlight, equal darkness, and the days will get progressively shorter. Usually for this zone, somewhere around the 15th to the 20th of October is first frost.
Yeah.
So we're recording this a little bit in advance of that, but it will probably have occurred by the time this broadcast. And so anyway, what we wanted to do today is I guess we want to play this PowerPoint, and we want to share the screen and just kind of, it's kind of a little bit of a test, I guess, if you will, thing that no one does. But there's probably a few of you out there going to recognize this stuff, and they're going to go, "Oh, I know what that is," and so on and so forth. So choices. Choices you make them.
Do you want to
make them every day? You make choices, okay? You make decisions based upon preferences.
Well, and like we were saying, you make I'm gonna eat this right now, and later that day it was a little too greasy, I have heartburn or something, you're not feeling well. That was a short-term choice in ending. But then there's other things like plants. I planted this in spring so that I could have the harvest in fall or in summertime. Or like with your kids, you're planting these seeds with your kids so that in 10 years you're pulling in the harvest per se, because they have that knowledge, they have that experience with things.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like in the spring this year, we probably maybe should have been a little bit more specific. We sent Sarah off to the local Lowe's and said, get some pepper plants. And she come back and
I brought pepper plants.
She bought pepper plants. She did what we told her to do. One of the plants she bought, anyone who knows peppers knows habaneros are quite interesting pepper, very hot. And so, but we have habaneros, and we have a use for them. We have friends that like habaneros, and we, use them in small amounts to, kind of spice up our barbecue sauce and that kind of thing. And so, but the choices you make are the harvest that you're going to get. When we planted those plants, the tag that came with them, sure enough, that's what came off the blossoms, the peppers that were formed. So, and we're going to go through a little bit of that, but it's the choices, the seeds that you plant with your children that result in the harvest that you're going to get later.
Yeah.
And so,
and they say that a lot, like, oh, year 1 through 3 is like the foundation of the brain development that you'll see at 10 years old.
right.
And it's, you can't get to 10 and be like, oh man, you know.
Yeah, to your child, you know, real books, you know, ones that you hold and feel. Nothing wrong with virtual books, but that's probably something that's better for older age, you know, like, you know, 3 and above, you know. But if you're just beginning, you might want to actually read real books to your children, because that's how their brains are currently forming, is a physical world thing. So anyway, choices. You're making choices, right? And so we'll hit the. So okay, so you planting seeds, and so what kind of seed? What type of seeds are these?
Can you tell what type of seeds?
Yeah, is it all y'all out there? Y'all recognize these types of seeds? I mean, you know, it's easy for us because we know what the seeds are. We grew the plants, you know. But we're going to step through, you know, growth stages. And
but even these seeds, that's even more into this thing, because I got this plant like 2 or 3 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
And then we were able to get seeds to then plant again.
Yeah, right.
And so it's like, it's not, like I say, some things you're going to get that instant harvest, but then other things, it's 2, 3, 4 years later that you're getting it.
And that's the thing. If you're willing to wait, the reward is great. But if you're not, well, you just go to the grocery store and buy your fruits and things.
I was meaning more philosophical.
Yeah, well, I understood that, but I'm just saying, I mean, you know, we got a diverse audience out there. We got people from different backgrounds and whatnot, and some people just don't really, you know any better. After this, you'll actually see the difference between a fruit you can grow and one that you can purchase. So the different growth stages, reaping and sharing, and then the cost. What type of seeds are you ask yourself? What type of seeds am I planting with my children, with my family? What do I hope to grow from these seeds, and am I willing to accept the harvest? Because we put in the ground a couple of seeds, but we get back a lot more
than what you plant. You plant 2 seeds, one sprouts or both sprout, and you get, let's just say, tomatoes.
Yeah.
You plant 1 tomato seed, you get a plant. You don't get 1 tomato. You get 30 tomatoes off of 1 plant in 1 season.
And those tomatoes are packed full of seeds.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you don't deal with all of them, you get more seeds.
Hey y'all,
volunteers for next year.
I got 1 tomato out there. I planted from a little bitty seed. I watched it come up, and it was a little bitty thing, and I watched it grow. And there's a dogwood tree that grows there close by where it is. And this particular tomato is indeterminate. That means it is not it'll just keep growing as long as it's alive. There are places in Japan where they have like 50-foot high tomato plants that they tend to. But this particular tomato plant, this indeterminate plant, has grown up into the dogwood. It's grown up in amongst the branches and everything, and it's almost to the crown of the dogwood tree. That's how tall it is. And so, and it's loaded with tomatoes. And so you're going to get, whatever it is you plant, you're going to get more of it. Yeah. And so the thing is
plant good seeds, you plant not so good seeds.
So in the garden example, like when we were doing Rosie, you know, it's like if weeds are coming up in your garden, how long do you wait? I mean, do you wait till they're, you know, knee high or ankle high, or do you wait when you first see them? I've gotten pretty good now. I can recognize a weed, and if it's a little bitty thing, I just go out there and pluck it. I don't wait for it, because it's not going to change. A weed is not going to suddenly turn into something beneficial.
Yeah.
And so you can apply that to your family and to your life and that type of thing. Some people are in jobs or environments or associations or whatever with different, you know, and the people that they're with are weeds. And if you think
and
that
sometimes weeds look pretty,
right,
but they're doing damage.
well, that's the whole idea between the wheat and the tares, right?
Yeah.
The tares grow in amongst the weeds or the wheat, and they're weeds, and they're just stealing the nutrient, and you can't tell until harvest time. The same with Rosie with the wild grapes growing in her vineyard. She can't tell the difference between the wild grapes, the poisonous grapes, and the good grapes until harvest time. And so, but then other weeds are they don't look anything like a tomato.
Yeah.
They don't look anything like corn.
They're
they don't.
easy to
Yeah, they're easy to pick out. So, but anyway, the cost of the types of seeds you plant have long-term repercussions, if you will. They what you plant today, you're gonna harvest tomorrow. So whatever it is you plant, sow it in the ground today, you're gonna reap from that. So soil. Okay, so we did our other video on the 3 trees. We put it there. We got a longhorn in here. We should put some of them in the JG. But anyway, that's another. JG's almost ready, by the way, too. So it'll be coming out soon. Soil prep. Okay, so you got good soil, not so good.
Which we did the video on. Good soil, bad soil, better soil.
Better soil, best soil. And so, if you're planting seeds, you want to make sure you have a good environment for those seeds to germinate and sprout and grow in. And it's the same with your children. You want to make sure they got a good environment to sprout and grow in. And if you do that, you're probably going to get good results. It may not appear that way sometimes, but as life goes through, you'll see that the work you did was beneficial. And so, good soil is good. Okay, so then, here we go. We planted our seeds, and we've got some blossoms. And how many of you know? I mean, we know. Oh, yep, this is what we planted, so we're not going to pull it up. It's not a weed dust. This is what we intended. And our data, based upon what we're seeing with our book sales, and we see that the data is saying we got good demand for our product. So the product that we're creating and putting forth, people are interested in. Now, there's some people who aren't interested in that, and that's fine too. They're interested in something else, but we have low competition. There's really not, it's not and it's everybody's actually for you. Everybody wants to see you succeed. They're not pulling against you. I mean, no one, I'm not sitting there fighting for the next, book sale.
Yeah.
If you're selling books and they're good books, more power to you. And so it's not that way in a lot of industry, in a lot of places. And so the thing about it also is you got to understand the cause and effect. Body in motion tends to stay in motion. But if you come out there and you put something in front of it to impede the motion, well, it's going to slow down and it's going to stop. And so that's cause and effect. It would continue to move, but someone interfered, and now it's slowing down. And so if you want to have children grow up to be God, fearing, contributing members of society and community, then you're going to need to plant good seeds and nurture those seeds and rear your children in an environment that's conducive or positive to that type of behavior.
And like I say, watch who's around them, because you can have a tomato plant and someone come by and go, and pick up that sprout and kill it off per se, but
like the example of the tares or the poison grapes. They look like wheat. Yeah. They look like grapes, but they're not grapes. And so time will tell. People usually they're.
Well, yeah, but when you're talking about kids, you don't always want time to tell who's the bad seeds around your kids. So it's really important to watch. Who are you letting you? Yeah. Are these people, good influences?
Right.
They soak up everything. Right. Even Eleanor, you drink out of your cup. Well, what does she do? She goes and drinks her water and goes. And then what does Lillian do? Only 1 year old drinks her sippy cup and goes.
Yeah,
And
because
so it's like they repeat what they see, even if someone's not like, oh, you need to do this.
right. And that's why we put these presentations together, because that's the best way to learn is by actually watching something happen.
Yeah.
You know, you're more likely to retain something that when you're watching it and participating than you are if you're just going to read about it. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's just why it's good to open the book,
Yeah.
sit down with your child, share time together, the two of you. The child, I don't know, they'll most likely remember growing up. Uncles, aunts, they read books to me as a child, and that was one of my.
Or they didn't, and they don't have that memory at all. They're just like,
Yeah, that's kind of a bad thing too.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so what we have here is we have some blossoms and we have some fruit. And so the question is, can you tell what type of fruit that is? You know, it's kind of difficult to tell at this point, but you know, for someone who's
might have some guesses. It's probably not a tomato.
Probably not a pecan or a pecan, depending on what vernacular you use. But yeah, it's probably not that, but it is. It looks to be some type of a citrus fruit, I would say, like an orange or something. So these particular ones, you can tell they're getting to be pretty good size, and they're starting to change color too. And so it's about time to harvest. Is it ready? Not quite. Now you probably could. I mean, in a situation, you could probably harvest.
Yeah, like sometimes you can get green tomatoes. I keep going back to tomatoes.
Yeah, well,
you can pick up green tomatoes and then they ripen on the counter, but they're not as good as when you let them sit on the vine to ripen.
Vine ripened is preferable. Yeah. And this is the same thing here. Tree ripened is preferable. With this particular plant, it takes about 18 months to get the fruit off of it, and so it's is it worth the wait?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you do a lot of work, and it takes time, and you're sitting there, you might get a little discouraged, like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this or whatever. But if you wait long enough, that's our origami flyaway.
We played with the transitions today.
Lemons. These are lemons. You can see now. These are lemons, okay? And so they're ready to harvest. There's still one down there in the left corner that's a little green.
And because they take 18 months, can't leave them outside.
No,
so they're
not
in
here.
the warm bathroom for their tropical-ish
climate. Or a warmish environment.
Yeah.
Putting them in the bathroom, I didn't think was the best location, so I'm probably not going to do that again. It didn't seem like it got as much fresh air in there. So, but we got back more than we sowed. These lemons, you're not going to be able to tell it from this, but when we sliced them open, they were full of seeds. Okay, so there was a lot of seeds in there, and the lemons themselves were.
They're like the best lemons ever. Even getting organic ones from the store.
Hard to describe. So this is what you're basically looking at. The big reveal. Here comes do-it-yourself versus commercial. Now, the ones at the bottom of the plate, those are the ones we grew. And the ones on the top of the plate, those are your store-bought ones. And so the color's different, the size is different.
And that's what's so interesting. When the organic one, normally when at the store, they have like the big old regular ones. Right. And then they have the organic ones, and they're so much smaller and they're a darker color. But ours are organic, right? I mean, they're not.
Well, no pesticides.
No pesticides, no sprays, no anything. Just go figure out how to stay alive.
This is why we grow a lot of our own produce and fruits. We don't use pesticides, and so I think that's a healthier environment. But you want to put as many factors as you can possible in your favor. Now the question becomes here. Am I going to go the commercial route with my children, or am I going to do it myself? And so I think you'll see that, it's more work, but the reward is greater. And so doing it yourself as opposed to just saying, oh, hey, here, y'all do this for me, not as good a deal, So, but you will wind up with lemons.
Both ways you get lemons.
Yeah, either way you get lemons, and so the question is, how do you feel about that? And so, in this particular case, I mean, we're talking about lemons. So you got, choices. You can make, you can just lemonade, or you can, just have sliced lemon on the side. We like to put lemons in our baked beans and our barbecue sauces and things of that nature. It's kind of a citrusy flavor. You may not like that, whatever. But our particular choice, there's down in one of the places we used to go to, there was a barbecue place, and they had the best lemon pie in the world. And so up until now, I can tell you what, the lemon pie we made from these lemons,
so good, so much better.
There's no comparison.
And even that, making it yourself as opposed to going and getting one from the store.
Yeah, my uncle's farm in Coldwater, he had peach trees, and I remember one summer I was up there, and the peach tree was ripe with peaches, and I walked up there and I picked that peach off that tree and I ate it right there, fuzz and all, everybody, right there.
Dirt and all, bugs, extra protein.
Yeah, everything, and it was the best peach I've ever eaten in my life. And I've eaten quite a few peaches. And so these particular lemons were the best lemons. Those 2 lemons, we made pies out of them, and it was just like unbelievable. And so the thing is that's what will happen with when you tend to your children yourself, and not leave it up to someone else to do the work or whatever, because it's commercial to them. They're doing it because they're getting paid. And so you're doing it for a whole lot of other reasons. I mean, you will get a reward in the end. But in the other aspect of it is because you love your children and because you want them to have the best environment. So basically that's that. I mean, hand over the switcheroo thing here. And so, thinking about that, we got to regular screen. We go back to this time of year. You get to make choices.
Fall time.
It's fall. There's holiday seasons coming up, and some of the holidays that are out there. I mean, you can. The way it was best said to me was, you can tell how well a congregation is by how much of the world is in the congregation. Well, unfortunately, most of the congregations today are somewhat worldly. There's a lot of politics in them. There's a lot of traditions, behaviors.
On the aspect of got to accept everything so that more people come, but then it's like you've diluted the message.
Well, God has His chosen people, and He chooses. There's a diverse crowd there. I mean, there's all types, sizes, colors, beliefs, whatnot. But in general, what Jesus does is He brings you into conformity. He makes it so that you can be as you were in the original intent when Adam and the woman were created. Eve, which she eventually became known as, you can return to that state. Before that, you're just in the world. And so the question is, and this is, I forget which one of these guys asked this question, but he says, look, if you were arrested for being a Christian, would there be enough evidence to convict?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, that's the question you have to ask yourself. If I were to somehow be arrested, or somebody in my family would be arrested for being a Christian, and hopefully it doesn't come to something like that, but if it were...
But would there actually be enough evidence?
Would they be able to
convict you beyond a reasonable doubt that you are...
Yeah, and I'm no saint, don't get me wrong. At points in my life where, there would not be enough evidence to convict. I can tell you that for sure, but as you grow older and you grow wiser, you turn away from these other pursuits and whatnot. And so, one of the aspects of the Bible, and it's good to consult the Bible. Don't necessarily consult me, but there's a story in there about Saul, and he didn't like the answer, I guess, that God was giving him, So he decided he'd go to a medium, and she was the witch of Endor, and he would consult with her on whatever. And
which it says in the Bible. Not well. I don't even know if the Bible was made at that point.
yeah, well,
But it says don't do that.
They
And
had
like,
the Torah. They had the 5 books
Yeah.
of Moses, and Deuteronomy 28 basically is talking about this very thing that that's just not something you want to do.
and in Ecclesiastes.
Yeah, Ecclesiastes, and there's spots along the way, and even through the New Testament.
He goes and sees the lady.
The representation that presents itself tells him, "Look, you've made a big mistake. You and your family be gone." That's exactly what happened, and so it's just it's not something to dabble in. It's not something to flirt with or pretend to be interested in. I'm all for having fun, and doing.
But when you put on that character, you're mixing with it.
You're making an invitation from the world's point of view and so actually what you should be doing is be more focused on the how do I maintain a clean temple, and how do I maintain clean thoughts and clean behaviors and things that'll make me presentable. Not that works do anything for you, they don't. But in general, you're not able.
I think it gets kind of miscued because there's different people. They take the Bible and make it their own thing to make things okay, but it's not. Oh, I'm saved, so I can just go back to doing whatever I want. But you want to live your life according to what God wanted you to, so that you are more in line with Him.
You have an example. I mean, He walked around the earth just like the rest of us, and the things that we're talking about doing.
And it's not going to mean that, I followed all of the rules, then my life's perfect.
No,
it's not going to be how it is.
It's not going to happen. I can tell you that firsthand. But in general, if you avoid trouble, you're least likely to. Well, you most likely aren't going to have to experience that particular brand of trouble. I mean, it doesn't mean you won't have trouble or trials or whatever, but you have Jesus, you have Yeshua. He walked on the earth, and look at what He did. I mean, He didn't run around dressed up in costumes, pretending to be something He wasn't, getting candy. I mean, He just didn't do any of that kind of stuff. And so you want to, like I said earlier, you want to be more like Him than you do the rest of the world. And so, for a lot of people, it's not your fault. If you're like me, you inherited it. It was passed down to you from your parents and from everybody that was around you, and you just didn't know any better. But at some point, you learn, you grow up, and you get off the milk and you start getting in the meat of the Word. And so this is a good time of year for explaining that type of behavior and that type of.
Because it's also like
learning.
Just because there's this maybe not so good thing, we'll just fluff it up and make it better. Yeah. It's still rooted with not good aspects. Right. And that's what you want to look at too. What's the root of it? Because that's what you're going to be, introducing, and you will reap those.
And it's going to be difficult later on. Like you talked about earlier. I mean, when she drinks out of her cup, she's like takes a sip and goes, because she saw someone else do it. If your kids are watching you, which they are, y'all, and they see you doing certain things or behaving a certain way, and then you're coming to them and going, "Oh no, you don't want to be that way. You don't want to. You're the example."
That's a song. I don't even know the name of the song. Some country song, but it's "I'm watching you" basically. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh no, why are you doing that?" And, well, I was watching you, Dad.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the song, the guy's like praying, the kid's praying, and the dad's like, "Oh man, how'd you learn to pray like that?" And he's like, "Well, I was watching you." So it's like whatever you're doing, that's what they're seeing.
Right, exactly. And so that's just the way it is, y'all. I mean, so the thing is, if you want to get different reward, and you want to have a different harvest than what we currently see out there.
And that doesn't mean you're perfect as a parent.
No,
but
it's
you are an
impossible.
adult. Your brain is more put together than a kid.
Right.
You can go, oh, I'm upset. Let me go calm down, pray about it.
Yeah.
You don't have to react and respond just because the TV says that's how you're supposed to be.
And that's the other thing too. I mean, sometimes you may be wondering what you should do or shouldn't do. Well, like I said, you got Jesus as an example of things that you should do. But, you got lots of examples of people that you know or don't know, and you see how messed up or how problematic situations are in their lives. And you go, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay, so you can make that decision, right or wrong. I mean, most likely be right. If you don't want to wind up like in that situation, then you should do something different. So, yeah. And so I know we run over a little bit on our time. This is
good stuff. Choices, but choices is such a big thing because it's every day. Like I said, from something as small as what am I going to eat today to something as big as where are we going to put our money?
Yeah.
Where are we going to put our kids? What are we going to do? It's choices and decisions that you'll reap tomorrow, a week from now, 2 months from now, 3 years from now. I mean, there's some decisions that it's like you reaping from 10 years ago. That was a decision you made 10 years ago, and you're still following through with it. So there's lots.
That's a good point, because, there's no going back.
No.
There's no going back and undoing
Redoing.
a decision. There's no redo.
You might be able to fix things a little bit, but
situations once they're
so
done.
you also want to make sure. Somebody said that recently. I just saw it somewhere, and I was like, and I don't really get into commenting a lot, but it was just the whole. Oh, it was when I was in that class. I was taking that class, and they were talking about stuff in the comment section, and I was so just like, you do not have to apologize for what you do not say. Close your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about it. Ponder about it, You can always go back and be like, I thought... But if you just say something, maybe you get your facts wrong or you hurt someone's feelings, you have to then go fix that. Well, if you just don't say anything, which, sometimes people are like, well, then you're too passive. So there's always a choice of give and take on that.
Some things that are worth, you have righteous anger, if you will. It's just the injustice is just so great. You got to say something.
Yeah.
But then there's other things that are so trivial.
Yeah.
That you write it down, you look at it, you go, nah, this is not that important, and just punch up delete because it's just not necessary. Yep. Golden apple, silver basket.
Golden. I've thought of ever since we wrote that. I regularly am like, what is the point of what I'm saying? Right. Is it building someone up? Is it trying to help? Then just don't say it.
Yeah, so we'll probably be doing.
We need to redo Golden Apples.
Well, that's what you're probably going to see. You're probably going to see a choices too here at some point because there's the easy path and the narrow path and the wide path.
And that's Jake.
That's Jake, and so we're
and
probably.
And that's the thing with all the books. There's a lesson.
There's something there, yeah. So something worth knowing. So, but anyway,
we will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us on the Between the Pages podcast. And if you like what you're seeing, hit the follow button and share, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you can see when we post new videos. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you very much.